Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. I've been here before. I'm a lawyer. I'm married, live in Warwick, grew up in Rhode Island my whole life. 9 kids, 17 grandchildren, and some still coming. And I'm here in opposition to the Reproductive Health Act, which I think is a radical overreach and is unnecessary at this time. 2 issues were addressed last year, and they come up again this year. The false premise that this proposed law is necessary to preserve abortion from a possible reversal by the United States Supreme Court of its position in Roe v. Wade, which created a constitutional right to abortion. The second is the proponents of this abortion program inaccurately contend that their proposal is a mere codification of Roe v. Wade at the state level. Professor Duncan addressed this very well in his remarks, and we have some other legal testimony that's been submitted. Let me just say this from a lawyer's point of view. This proposal far exceeds Roe v. Wade. It is a loaded bill, which will put our state in the forefront of what amounts bluntly to an agenda of the abortion industry. Moreover, there's no present danger, no imminent case pending, which presents a so-called threat to Roe v. Wade. Last year, I suggested to this committee, and I'll ask again, why do this now? Why push something that the Supreme Court has not touched? It's not necessary. If and when a case looms, we will all know about it far in advance. If Roe v. Wade and the makeup of the court is such that it's threatened. That time could be several years from now, could be a different legislature, but it will be the same people in Rhode Island. Then we would have a debate. We'd have a question. Because if Roe v. Wade is changed, and it could be, many people think it's one of the worst decisions we've ever made for our culture. It's not going to do away with all abortion, but it will throw it back perhaps to the state. Then we will decide at that time, in appropriate ways. We don't have to do that now at all. It's a constitutional right now. Having said that, I'm going to kind of throw off my lawyer hat and just suggest to you this. This is an issue that I think we use our mind for, but we also use our hearts for. Deep down, I just suggest, wherever it is in us, where we kind of measure right and wrong, we have to know that killing these babies doesn't make sense for convenience purposes. We have to know we're going in the wrong direction. The most prosperous country in the history of the world allows killing of babies for convenience. And I know people are well-meaning on the other side, and it's been addressed with carefully on reproductive health. But you know, let me just suggest to you that we live in a time when we're all questioning what's going on in our country and in our culture. I just listed a couple in my testimony, but we have disorder and confusion in our lives and in our families. And we might ask ourselves why. Of course, gun violence in schools is a key issue now. But we have a whole lot of issues. The loneliness that the sexual revolution has put on us. The deterioration of stable family life. The lack of commitment by men to fatherhood. The impact, the destructive impact of pornography on the minds and lives of so many people. The exploitation from that and the degradation of women. the depression and suicides that we have, especially among young people, and of course the rise of violence in schools and elsewhere. I could go on, and you could too, I think, on why our core values and we have been abandoned and why we have seeming chaos in our culture. And I think we'd be short-sighted if we did not see that all of these are of a piece. These defects in our culture are connected. I think we should consider how all of this mess is rooted in a steady loss of respect and lack of love and concern for one another. It's a lack of sacrifice. It's a lack of commitment. It fosters selfishness. It fosters taking care of ourselves instead of others. It's an indifference to human life. It's a callousness towards other people. It's a not being committed when the delicate question of sexual relations between a man and a woman occurs. It's a desensitizing to all of the things that we have. Worst of all, I think, starting 50 years ago, hanging over all of this for generations now, for our generation and for young kids growing up in this country now, we allow the killing of innocent human life mostly for convenience. I think this is a policy that's life-stifling. We've heard the expression that we have a culture of death. All of these items I listed, all of them suffocate life. They don't allow people to flourish. And I think abortion hangs over us. There are special situations. But like kryptonite for Superman, abortion in our country drags us down. We don't even realize it. It makes it easier to do these other things I listed because we kill our kids. It desensitizes adults and children to life, to sacrifice, to loving, to bringing kids along, to helping them, to allow adoption. It's anti-life. So we shouldn't be surprised of what's happening. The Me Too, we shouldn't be surprised that men act like that. And that's what's happening. So, why push legislation that's unnecessary? I just suggest that each of us should say, let's stop this. It's not necessary now. And all of us should continue to reflect on what's happening and why is this all going downhill. So I say, let's stop the culture of life, the culture of death. Let's stop suffocating life. Let it happen in all of the ways that we want people to flourish. Thank you.